Hello, friends. If you are watching this on the playback, hi. This is a live for people who are deconstructing their faith or questioning their faith and are looking for a place maybe to ask questions or connect to other people who are in the same place. So basically, I just read the comments and we chat back and forth that way. So if you're watching this back, there should be a setting for you to be able to see the comments. So that'll make it a little bit more enjoyable. Hi, Confucius. Hello. Good to see you. Hope you are having a good Tuesday. Hi, Satan. Good to see you. I always laugh when I call you that. Oh, that's cool. Well done, Confucius. Hi, Aaron. Hey, big girl. What do you see? Oh, it's the possum. There is a possum. Ruby! There's a possum on my front porch. And Ruby is very excited about it. It's just a possum, big girl. It's okay. Woo! She gets very excited about them. I actually think they're really cute. Hi. Hi, Calmus. Hello, Bill. Probably, Aaron. Rubes, it's just a possum. It's gonna be okay. Ruby, I'm not. Hey, come here. Come here. Ruby. Sorry, y'all. The possum is what's really cute. I'm going to see if I can get her to chill a little bit. Hey, 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 come here. It's just a possum. Yeah, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. Yeah, she has a very big bark. She's a very big girl with a very big bark. You want to see the possum? Let's see. I don't know if he's still out there. I don't see him. I think, Ruby, you scared him off. Yeah? Did you scare off the possum with your big scary bark? No, Ruby's going to try to eat the possum. I definitely don't want a eaten possum on my hands. Okay, it's okay, big girl. Yes, she's defeated the possum. No, Ruby, I'm not letting you out there. No, ma'am. Hi. She is. She's a very good guard dog. Yeah, you a good guard dog? Yeah, good baby. Well, hopefully that's our last possum. For anyone who's new, hey, welcome. Mo, thank you. For the super chat, Mo says, dog making loud noises because reasons. Translation, hey, Mom, there's another life form within our domestic proximity. Is Ruby a golden? She's actually a Great Pyrenees. So, yeah, barking at things is like in her DNA. They are guardian dogs. But she does look like a giant golden, basically. Hi. Hey, Seal. Yes, definitely. Pyrenees nose. Is that you with your big nose? Are you beautiful? Oh, yes, you are. Hello for anyone who's new. Again, I'm Sarah, and this is a place for people who are deconstructing or questioning their faith or want to talk about hell. What kind of meat does a vegetarian priest eat? Hi, 41. You don't have to use all caps. Well, I hope you feel welcome. Yes, she is a big teddy bear. She legitimately lets me hug her. It's lovely. Chip, she was a rescue, so I don't know how old she is, but I think she's about 8. Mid says, hey, how are you? I've watched your streams on and off for a while. It's nice to have a space to be with people that understand where I'm coming from. Well, hey, I'm glad you said hi. Yeah, Blas says, whenever I see a message in all caps, I always think they're yelling. That's why I discourage people from using all caps, because it feels so aggressive. 41, I do this on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then occasionally Sundays, but that's kind of hit or miss. But definitely Tuesdays and Thursdays. Yeah, Chip, rescues are the best. All my dogs have been rescues. Well, just a little background about me. I grew up Protestant Christian, evangelical-ish, and I now consider myself an agnostic atheist. Hi, Michelle. Do you prefer your YouTube or TikTok streams? You know, once it gets going, they're pretty similar. I will say, though, I get a lot more creepy comments on YouTube. Yeah, I understand that, Mid. If there is a way in hell, isn't there a way out? Well, depends on who you ask. Hey, Katie. Hi, Dee. Oh, gosh, HE, that's awful. I'm so sorry. Yeah, bosses, that's what everyone says. YouTube has the creepiest people. Well, and it's strange, like my audience over TikTok is about 50-50, men and women, but my audience on YouTube is 90% men. Hi, Raving. Yeah, my mods do a great job taking out the worst of the comments. Exactly. Confucius says, yes, there's a way out of hell. We need enough engineers there to design a ladder long enough that we can all crawl out. Oh, are you better, Rubes? She's moping now that she can't eat the possum. I'm sorry, you cannot eat the possum. For people who read C.S. Lewis, you hear a lot of like the doors of hell are locked from the inside. And that's just from C.S. Lewis. It's not biblical, but it certainly sounds better. Ah, Cindy, hi. Is there a scenario that you would feel is fair, such as if at judgment before God you see he is real He answers every question and then gives you a final choice. So seeing him and having your questions answered before making a choice certainly makes it much more fair. However, if it still ends up that your only two choices are love God or suffer eternally, that is still a huge problem. It would be much more fair if there were lots of options, or, a neutral option. But if it's still only those two choices, then I would not think that that is fair. What am I drinking? Oh, it's off-brand Diet Coke. Yay, Cindy. Erin, I have a video in my frequently asked questions playlist that gives you my whole backstory of why I don't believe anymore. Yeah, Flock says, Jesus said you get thrown into hell, some choice. Yeah, the Bible is definitely not consistent about what hell is, and Christians are not consistent in their belief about it. More and more frequently, I hear it's just separation and it's your choice, and God's just honoring your choice, but that's not super biblical. When is your next study with Deconstruction Zone? Actually, we are recording tomorrow, so soon. Yeah. Mo says, so many Christians quote C.S. Lewis, seeming to appeal to charisma rather than internal critique. I think C.S. Lewis is the right combination of understandable but intellectual. And I think it really, I can understand why Christians are drawn to that. Lassie, I don't understand what you're saying. Can you change the grammar of your sentence? Are you planning on covering the entire Bible for a series? So somebody, I can't remember who, someone did the math on if Justin and I keep up the rate that we're going, it's going to take us like 6 years or 7 years or something to get to get through it. We might pick up the pace a little bit, but we'll keep making episodes as long as, we have the time and energy to do it. I mean, I honestly think Islam and Christianity are pretty similar in a lot of ways. Hi. Where do you think it's all inconsistent about hell? So the Old Testament doesn't really mention hell at all. And then there is lots of places where it just says you're going to perish. Then there's also verses that talk about, like, no, you're just going to go to sleep and then you'll wake up when Jesus returns. And then there's a second death. And maybe that second death is being thrown into a lake of fire, but also maybe that happens right after you die. There's just a lot of different scenarios in different parts of the Bible. Ripley, that verse, so Ripley says, if anyone will not welcome you or listen to your words, leave that home or town and shake the dust off your feet. Thought? So yeah, people use that verse at me quite a bit. Often it's used when they are preaching at me and I am not receiving it. They will use that to insult me, basically. Mid, I do not know Dan McClellan personally. Trio says, all right, so one thing you have to say, the lake of fire is all metaphor. Most of the Bible is metaphor, but the gist of it is without God, you will perish. Yeah, so the tough thing then about the Bible is it doesn't come with a user guide to tell you which parts are metaphor and which parts are not. And that creates a lot of disagreement amongst Christians. I can certainly understand thinking a lake of fire is metaphor. It certainly seems like that type of language. But there's no guidebook for how to do that. Yeah, Seal says that's the thing about the Bible. There are never any ironclad explanations or interpretations you can be sure of. Flip says maybe God is a metaphor too. Yeah, exactly, Calamus. Every denomination thinks that they're the ones who got it right, and everyone else is just a little bit wrong. Hi. So I don't believe that there is a grand designer. No. Hey, John. So no, I don't usually wear contacts. I just have these glasses now as my eyes are aging. So they're just for like seeing things close up. Why do you think God created hell? So to be clear, I no longer believe in God, and so I don't think hell exists. There is an argument that God uses ambiguity intentionally to produce certain commodities he's looking for. What do you mean by commodities? Um, what do you say about people seeing God? I mean, I'm not gonna, step on your experience. I have not seen God, so someone else telling me that they have seen God would not be convincing to me personally. Yeah, I did. I have read Dante's Inferno. It's been a long time though. I read it back in college. What kind of science you do? Physiology. Did you ever go to church? Oh, yes. I was a very devout Christian for the first 25 years of my life. Thanks, 89. So, Beach Bum, to say that God is unclear on purpose so that we search for him, um, is it worth all the confusion and all the people who get it wrong? Blob, I mean, I have heard people say that about finding chariots under the water, but I do not think that I think that's just like Ron Wyatt stuff. Can Best, thank you so much. Gosh, what a huge super chat. I really, really appreciate that. Can Best says, thank you for your respectful approach to what appears to be unfortunate ignorance. I am all about keeping a nice chill vibe. So yeah, thank you. What do you say to people that say we could never understand God's way? Well, if that's the case, then it seems pretty unfair that he would hold us to it. Like, if we can't understand him, that's fine, but don't punish us for not understanding him. Beach Bum says maybe getting it exactly right or wrong is not exactly the point. Well, so that depends if hell is on the line. Like, is eternal suffering on the line? Is that a possibility? Because then I think clarity is crucially important. Neighborhood says, if you could believe anything you wanted, what would you choose? I just want to know what's real. I wouldn't want to believe something that wasn't real. Hey, Matthew. For the bunny fund, yes, thank you. What made you leave the church you were at? I stopped believing in God. Ripley, my whole backstory is on my FAQ playlist. What do you say about the Old Testament predicting the New? I would say it really doesn't. How do you think the world was formed? The same way all planets are formed. Yeah, 89 says, right, shouldn't a loving being perfectly clear of the things he thinks are necessary to earn his favor? Yeah. HE says, sequels are easy to write when the first book already exists. Yes, but how did it start? Are you asking me how planets are formed? Neighborhood says, what religion or spirituality would you pick to be verifiably true if you could pick? You know, the most appealing one to me is what people have reported after NDEs, after near-death experiences. And that's this idea that, like, you know, we were these souls that came down to earth to have this human experience. And when we die, we just sort of go back to being part of a big kind of force of love. I think that sounds very nice. So that would be nice if that were true. Hi, cowboy. Rachel, hello. Beach Bum says, I don't believe in eternal suffering. I believe in just suffering to a point and then annihilation. But I would say the idea of heaven and hell is an important component, and I believe that there will be perfect clarity at judgment. I mean, are we being judged for something we can't understand in our lifetime, though? Oh, you're so welcome, Rachel. Webb asks, do you think Christianity will ever die out like other religions did before it? I genuinely don't know. I imagine it will continue to evolve. You know, the interpretations of Christianity have evolved a lot since its inception, so I think it will probably continue to change. I have no idea if it will ever totally disappear. I'm not sure. You want to go outside, big girl? Yeah. Is the possum out there? Okay. We're gonna risk it. Yeah? Yeah? Okay. No eating possums, though. Okay. Oh, sorry. Hang on. I have to put shoes on because there is snow on the ground. Oop. And it is cold. Okay. Hang on, Miss Ruby. I'm gonna put you guys here just for a sec. Okay. Okay, there you go. Okay. I am back. Now Ruby gets to bark at the neighborhood. Rachel says, my mom had the classic NDE with the light of love that told her to return. She lived several more years, dying at age 58. Rachel, did did that experience like change her? Did she, I don't know, get a lot of comfort from that? CB says, for all the criticism of religion, much of it valid, how do we account for all the objectively good deeds done by those who claim they were done for the glory of God? I mean, people do good things for lots of reasons. So I imagine that people who are doing good deeds all the time are, we're going to do those good deeds either way because they wanted to. Well, Rachel, I'm glad that was comforting for her. Pick and Choose says, I agree with a quote I saw ages ago. Paraphrasing, religion amplifies whatever is in someone's heart. Love, mercy, vengeance, fear, control. Yeah, actually, I say that about religion too. I absolutely agree. Like, I think religion is a very powerful tool. And if you want to be kind and compassionate, I think you will use religion to be kind and compassionate. But if you want power and control, you will use religion to acquire power and control. Do you find some religions sillier than others? I find Scientology to be very silly. Yeah, blah, the idea of a church asking for your tax returns is insane. I have heard of that. I have never been in a church that did that, but yeah, that's wild. Well, yeah, try if you, or Trio maybe. I have live guests on Saturday nights on my TikTok. What churches ask for your tax return? It's probably more common in like non-denominational churches, but it's relatively rare. It's not like super common. Well, sure, Perilous. Yeah, Beach Bum, it does sound cultish. I agree. Yeah, HE says, I just can't hang around a religion that has a lower moral standard than my own and lives in fear of every part of human existence. Yeah, I get that. Okay, Trio, I'll see you Saturday. Yeah, that's true, Michelle. In Scientology, you have to sign a billion-year contract. What time is the chat on Saturdays? So it's on TikTok, and I usually start between 9 and 10. This week it'll probably be closer to 9. I have not heard Ruby bark yet, so believe me, if she got the possum, we would know. Do you prefer debates or conversational content? Definitely conversational content. And even when I have guests up, it's usually like a variety of of types of people that want to talk. I mean, I will say, like, sometimes in my comments, people put forth some really poor arguments, and it's nice and kind of satisfying to talk through them. But like, debates are not my favorite. Yes, Beach Bum. If we both end up in heaven, I will be happy to have a long chat. Yes, Seal. I love possums. I think they're so cute. So, yes, saying Ruby was going to get the possum is all in jest. I would never let her eat a possum. Do you know anything about the Heaven's Gate cult? A little bit. I know possums are cute. You just have to get used to the tail. Oh, yeah, no problem, too. Oh, no, I know that Australian possums are different. I don't know if I know what they look like, though. Eric says, I'm rereading Ezekiel. It is kind of silly and extremely dark. Yeah, Ezekiel's pretty, like, existential crisis, right? What were some of your more memorable conversations? Oh, like the TikTok conversations? I've posted some of them on YouTube so you can see like some of the longer conversations. Fernando, I don't believe in God, just for clarity. But I remember this conversation with this woman who started off so syrupy sweet, and then she articulated how, you know, terrible things were okay, basically. And she articulated these unbelievably cruel beliefs in this like gentle, sweet voice. It was so jarring. What time zone? I am Eastern time zone in the US. Chris. I don't know if I've talked to a Chris. Well, Chip, I am sending good thoughts to your mom. I hope she's doing okay. Thanks for stopping in. Were you angry or bitter towards Christianity when you first deconstructed? I did feel angry for a while. Yeah. I felt bamboozled, and that was really frustrating. How did we come into being? Well, the human species exists through the process of evolution. Emily says that's how I feel. I still have a lot of bitterness towards that. I understand. I mean, I think it's warranted, honestly. Yeah. Yeah, Seal, she was wild. Uh, yeah, it was something else. Dr. Joe, hi. Taylor asks, are you atheist or agnostic? Something else. So I actually describe myself as an agnostic atheist because I don't believe in God. I don't think that there is a God, but also I don't think I can ever really know for sure. Yeah, Eric says, I felt ghosted and cheated. Michelle, I am more upset that all pastors lie to my face about what? Um, well, Fernando, I'm gonna go with the science on this one. Good night, Phil. This is so interesting. So I have these two comments that kind of go together. Webb says, what do you make of people who say they believe in God because he helped them? And then two comments later is Ripley saying, I was religious, heard about God, but never knew him until I had an encounter with him and it changed me. So to answer your question, that response is incredibly common. Most of the Christians that come onto my lives will say that they had an encounter with God or they love God because of what God did for them. So, I mean, it's a really common response. It's just not personally convincing to me. Who created the science? No, Fernando, science is a method. It is not an entity that was created. Ruby. No barking, ma'am. We good? You want to come in? She wants to bark. Yeah, Dr. Joe says the answers I got when I had questions accelerated my deconstruction rather than slowed it. Yeah, I had that experience too, because when you get answers, the answers are so poor. And you're like, wait, that's all that was under this? Like, that's it? That's the best we have? Hi, Manta. Seal says, I would have to say that I'm more agnostic than full-blown atheist. I still think there may have been a creator, but if there was one, he just created life and existence but stays out of everything. Yeah, that's fair. Is that deism? Maybe? Right? Deism is the more like backed off one versus theism. Why do people die? How long of an explanation do you want? I guess that's our bodies are corporeal and they are not able to sustain life infinitely. Why did you leave the Christian faith? I just stopped believing that it was true. I have a longer video on my page. Charles, hi. Thanks, blah. What about the second law of thermodynamics? Ruby, I'm about to bring you in, big girl. That's enough. Ruby, come here. No barking. Come on. You want to come inside? All right, well, then you have to stop. for all the field trips tonight. Do you believe we leave the body in soul or something? I don't believe in a soul. Aww. Oh, you think the second law of thermodynamics is why we die? Well, I mean, we also have functions that, like, existing, just living, causes oxidative damage to your body. And so you have systems that can only function for so long before they're too damaged to keep functioning. Well, hey, Patrick, welcome. Yeah, Eric says, if God did mundane stuff like finding keys, it would be easy to set up an experiment to demonstrate it. Well, that is the beauty of God. He does not predictably answer prayers. He only sometimes answers prayers. Kel, hi. Ugh, Ruby, I have to bring you in. My neighbors are gonna hate me. Oh, but I have to put on boots to go out into the snow. Ripley, why do we have to be tested to see what we would choose? Doesn't God know that already? Okay, come here, Rubes. That's enough. Oh, it's slushy. Come here. Hi. Oh, oops. Come here, Rubes. Nope, nope. Okay, hang on. I have to put you guys down for a second. Okay, come on. Okay. Success. Oh, gentle, your name is Joanna? Huh, nice. Okay. Thanks, Kel. Do you believe objective knowledge exists? Someone who did a response video said you thought it didn't exist, but I'm pretty sure you think it only can't be knowable. So I think objective facts exist. Like the word knowledge, I think implies a human brain processing things. But like there either is a sun or there is not. And you know, that would be like an objective fact. But yeah, we may not always have access to be able to know what the objective facts are. Yeah, Pickens says, I always took it that he'll answer a prayer if he thinks it's a good idea, but it has the effect of making all my prayers basically, I guess, whatever you want. Yeah, I mean, depending on your views of God, praying for things to happen doesn't seem like a very worthwhile enterprise. Yeah, so Ripley, the idea of people being born into sin is inherently cruel and unnecessary. Yeah, the real question is if truth is objective. So I think truth is objective, but again, we may not be able to access it. What denomination did you come from? I just say Protestant because I was part of a couple different Protestant denominations. Hey, Matthew. Hi. Gentle says, I think we have perceptions that get mistaken for truth. Yeah, I mean, I think the difficulty in being human is that everything is filtered through our brain. Fernando, life is not a spark. Yeah, Pickens says, I'm a universalist because I can imagine most of these issues being worth it if everyone ends up in heaven forever. But if not, this whole thing becomes unspeakably cruel. Yeah. Patrick, I have looked into Catholicism, but I actually don't believe in God at all. Hi, Lobster. Duck says, I feel like prayers praising the God makes sense more than praying for the God to grant something, unless it's maybe a good harvest or something that affects a group over the individual. Yeah, I think like praying for things is only makes sense if you don't think about it too hard. Pagan says, if even one person ends up in hell forever, I don't see how any of this was the best God could do. Do you think life has a purpose? I think we as humans find meaning in our lives, but I don't. I mean, I don't think someone put us here to accomplish a specific task. Hi, Autumn. Yes, Charles put my favorite quote to answer that question. Do you think we should tell the truth and promote justice and offer mercy? Sure. I don't think you need God to do any of that. Why what? Why do I value those things? Because I have empathy. Do you have any interest in philosophy or are you only interested in religion? Philosophy in the realm of religion, I find exhausting. so, but most of my interactions with philosophy are when like Phil Bros come into my lives and want to use philosophy as evidence for God. And that isn't really how philosophy is supposed to be used anyway. And I find that exhausting. Hi, Susan. Yes, on my page, I have a frequently asked questions playlist. And yes, I do have that video. Um, oops, sorry, I need to plug in my phone. Yeah, no problem. Oops. Yeah, Lobster says everyone deserves hell is just a form of moral disengagement that allows you to place everyone on the same level and avoid thinking about the consequences of your actions. It's something that I think Christians kind of go back and forth on. And sometimes I hear Christians say that they actually think there are different levels to hell because for most people, it is, what's the word I'm looking for? Morally uncomfortable to say that someone that commits genocide gets the exact same punishment as someone who just told a lie to their mom. Is it okay if someone prefers lying and injustice and mercilessness? So rather than think of these things as preferences, it is what your brain, how your brain processes the world. So if someone wants to lie all the time, they are physically free to do that, but they should know that there are going to be consequences for that. So if someone wants to lie and steal and cheat, they are not going to maintain good relationships. People aren't going to trust them. They may end up in trouble with the law. And so there are logical reasons not to do those things. But deeper than that is empathy. You know, we don't hurt each other because we don't want to, because we know what it feels like to be hurt. Do dogs go to heaven? If there is a heaven, they had better. Pickens says, do you think part of the new crusade against empathy among apologists is due to the idea that it undercuts their assertion that morality requires religion? Unfortunately, I don't think it's that deep. And I can only speak for what's happening in the US, but I think it's because the conservative party and the religious right are making choices that are definitely not compassionate. And so I think it's just a way for people in that group to be okay with what they're doing. Yeah, Thriver says it can be very irritating when people assume that because you are an atheist, you have the answers to the origins of life and the formation of planets. That is so strange to me. I'm not a scientist. Yeah, I mean, I think the implication is if you don't know the answer, then the answer must be God, which is a faulty assertion. Are those things objectively true? Is it objectively true that if you lie to people, people will not trust you? That is objectively true. Hi, Katie. Yeah, Manta says, I find it extremely sad and demoralizing how so many people seem to be okay with God sending people to hell, even their loved ones. Yeah, the discourse I hate the most is when talking about heaven and I ask people, how are you going to be okay with the fact that your loved ones are in hell? And sometimes they say we forget about our loved ones, which is pretty horrifying. But the worst answer is like, well, they brought it upon themselves, so I'll know it's just and I'll be good with it. Patrick, so the idea of good and bad are not objective concepts. We could measure if it was beneficial, or if it was harmful. But even so, Patrick says, is it objectively good to tell the truth and objectively bad to lie? So we could determine, is this going to cause harm or is this helpful? But I'm sure you can think of an example when telling the truth might not be good and telling a lie actually might be the morally good thing to do. Patrick, are you going to ignore what I just said? Yeah, Patrick wants me to say that there's objective truth so that he can ask me who made the objective truth and use it as an argument for God. And I think it's really uncomfortable for some Christians to consider that good and bad are not objective, they are subjective. That doesn't mean they don't exist, but they do not exist in the way that gravity exists. Yeah, exactly, Flock. Webb says, I find it strange that people think God goes out of his way to help them personally while there's still so much war, hunger, and injustice in the world. Yeah, there's a certain version of Christianity that only makes sense if you live a very comfortable life and don't think about the actual horrors that happen in the rest of the world. Stephen says, you're so calm and gentle. Were you angry when you were early in deconstruction? I'm still so angry. I definitely was angry. And I deconstructed 15, 16 years ago. So I've had a long time. Patrick, it sounds like you're not trying to understand my viewpoint, because you're not actually really engaging with what I'm saying. It sounds like you're just throwing more gotcha questions. What's the harshest crash out you've had against a theist, and is it recorded for replay? I don't think I've yelled at anyone. I think when I actually have people who are really upsetting to me, I just get I just get rid of them. Or like my most recent debate, one of my moderators gets rid of them. Have you been to church since you stopped believing? Um, I think maybe once or twice. Oh, Beach says that one woman who was telling you what you were thinking got you good. That does irritate me quite a bit when people do that. Fair enough, Dr. Joe. Gentle, that song is in my head now. Yeah, I find it frustrating trying to articulate to Christians that belief is not a choice. Yeah, Ox says, I wish I'd known about this type of community when I deconstructed. Doing it alone is tough. It is tough. Yeah, I know. I wish this kind of thing had been around for me too. Emily says there's one church in town that is very active in the community and standing up for the marginalized. So I've considered going, but I don't know yet if I can be in church without freaking out. Yeah. Yeah, when after I deconstructed, I considered going to like a Unitarian Universalist church just for the community, but I couldn't do it. I just, I just couldn't do it. Yeah, I know. We need to find community somewhere else too. I mean, Quaker's kind of interesting. Yeah, Chase, I don't know if it could. I mean, it would be fun if I didn't think people believed it so seriously. Dr. Joe says Reverend Joe just replied to a comment from someone who did and said it was too churchy and it was triggering to them. Yeah, I don't think I would do well with it, honestly. Well, Patrick, thank you. But again, I am very familiar with Catholicism and it does not answer these questions. But I hope you have a good night too. Where do you find community, specifically non-online community? So I think a big part of it, and it's honestly harder after COVID, although I think people are starting to like go out again, is to join a bunch of groups. Like, what do you like to do? What are your hobbies? Can you do meetup groups? There are like apps where you can just like meet 6 random people for dinner. Um, can you join clubs? You could even use like Bumble BFF, like a place to like swipe to find friends. I think, there's a lot of like scary putting yourself out there. Chase, do you skydive? Um, Unsilent says, is it impossible to gaslight yourself into believing in something that is untrue? You can force belief. I don't think you can consciously do it. Like, I don't think if you think something is false, I don't think you can make yourself believe that it's true. Yeah, Boss says, I agree with that. Scary putting yourself out there, especially if you're a woman looking for friends. Yeah. What about for me personally? So, a lot of my community is running. I have a running community, and then I have a group of like work friends, and then a group of like neighborhood friends. So I have like a couple different smaller communities. So I don't have just like one big one, but I have several small ones. That's awesome, Chase. How do theists manage to believe them? Usually I accuse them of wanting to believe, but that shouldn't be possible. So, WV, I mean, theists are genuinely convinced that it is true, you know? I was genuinely convinced for a long time. Yeah, runners are we're an odd bunch. Yeah, Duck, how would you know? Hey, big girl. But you didn't believe because of evidence, so it's something else. So, um, it was that I started to ask different questions. Oh, Katie, if you're a good swimmer, I'm very impressed. I think swimming is so hard. Yeah, Katie, it's great. I actually do like run coaching on the side. Let me show you guys Ruby. Hey, big girl. Are you an elegant queen? Yeah, okay. I'm sorry you have to be inside. She's mad I brought her in. What's the trick to not hating running? Starting really slow. Like really slow. Oh, you want to see the bunny? I bet I can find the bunny. Ugh, let's see. Bunny, bunny. Checkers. Do you want a little parsley? I bet you do. Oh, hi. Hey, pretty girl. Where are you going? Come back here. Chomp, 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 chomp. That parsley didn't stand a chance. So this is Checkers, if you have not met her before. Can bunnies eat cilantro? Yes, they love cilantro. Hi, big girl. Oh, I'm glad. Thank you. Alrighty, friends. I had better call it a night. Oh, you did. Love that. I'll be on TikTok tomorrow and then back here Thursday. So I'll be here Thursday. I think Justin and I are recording a new episode tomorrow. And I'll try and have some more content up this week. So thank you guys for such a lovely conversation. And yeah, I will see you all soon.